My name is Dan Eberhart. I'm with Canary. We're an oilfield service company, and I'm against proration. So at Canary, we operate throughout Texas. We're in Crystal City, Falfurrias, and Odessa, as well as Houston. And I'm here to testify today about what I think the likely impacts would be. We're a service company, so in a lot of respects, the oil and gas companies move, bigger dollars around, but they're more like general contractors. And the service companies really represent an awful lot of the arms and legs and jobs in the industry and space. And I think it's important for us to be able to put our 2 cents in too. I'm against proration, and I'm in favor of the free market solving. I think this will lead to a quicker resolution of the supply glut, and this will lead to government intervention not choosing winners and losers, and us being able to avoid unintended consequences. I think there's a big precedent here in the U.S. for championing free markets, and that's why America's oil and gas industry is competitive worldwide. The U.S. should not abandon these principles during this market disruption. Yes, it's chaotic. Yes, it's extremely severe. And yes, it's very important. The mandatory production cuts would also result in increased production by domestic producers outside of Texas potentially, or lead them to reduce their production less, and likely outside the U.S. as well. I also believe that the Railroad Commission imposing quotas would be inefficient. Imposing a production or export quota on Texas crude would harm and penalize the most efficient, lowest cost producers while supporting the less efficient companies. Quotas are slower to react to demand or supply shocks, and we quite frankly have both here. We have a supply glut and a severe demand shock. In addition, quotas will support less efficient producers in Texas at the expense of those that are more efficient, whether it be in how they drill, how they maintain production, or in terms of their balance sheet. And the Texas crude sector will suffer over the long term. Moreover, I think that imposing a quota system would lead to a lack of efficacy. The proposal would impose significant costs, such as wellhead monitoring and hiring and staffing up and software IT costs on producers at a time when they can least afford this kind of incremental increase in government regulation. And this would encourage cheating, which is likely to happen among the OPEC producers anyway, likely encourage that to happen more so. Many oil producers have already voluntarily slashed millions in planned spending and output.
That is the 3-minute mark, Chairman.
Please finish up for us, Dan. Go ahead.
Sure, thank you. So I think that we need a natural market-driven outcome versus mandatory production cuts. I would also like to say, in terms of signaling, implementing a quota system would signal to Saudi Arabia and Russia that we're going to play their game and that they're winning the price war, and we won't weed out high-cost producers. That's the exact opposite of what they want. A U.S. crude quota could hurt low-cost producers that would otherwise keep on producing. And I'll just skip a couple points and move to my last one, which is that if you look at the natural gas sector, the U.S. government tried to control energy markets before. It was a disastrous outcome. Previous governments attempted to control the U.S. natural gas markets through price controls, and it just simply didn't work. The price control program created to solve natural gas shortages in the 1970s and the oversupply of natural gas in the 1980s failed. So my conclusion is that I think the best thing for service companies and the jobs that come with them is to let natural selection happen, let survival of the fittest happen. It's not pretty, it's not going to be convenient for a lot of people, but this is how we get to a healthy oil industry in Texas, for the end of 2020, for 2021, for 2022. There's no reason to prolong the inevitable. Let free markets reign. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Are there any questions, members? Okay, thank you so much, Dan, and I appreciate you representing your part of the industry. I agree with you, vitally important. Thousands, not tens of thousands of jobs in your arena, and we are very concerned about that, as are you. And thank you for being here representing them.